Hi everyone, welcome to SF Live tonight, Thursday at 5:30. I'm your host, Rebecca Taff. As always, how could you forget me? But I want to talk about today's guests. They are from SHANTI, an organization that enhances the quality of life, health, and well-being of people living with breast cancer and HIV/AIDS. And we have Chip Supanich. Is that right?
That's right.
Oh, good. And he is a board member for the organization. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Hi.
Again.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what SHANTI is.
Well, SHANTI is an organization that has been helping people with practical and emotional support who are facing life-threatening illnesses. Mm-hmm. It began 35 years ago. This is our 35th anniversary year.
Oh, good.
And we started out by helping folks with terminal cancer. Mm. When AIDS came along in the early 80s, we shifted gears and went completely to HIV/AIDS care. We were the first community-based response to the AIDS epidemic in the country. And then roughly 8 or 10 years ago, I believe, we added breast cancer. I might be wrong on that. Don't hold me to that date.
Well, I'm going to, so you're going to be in big trouble if it's wrong.
Oh, no. The SHANTI Encyclopedia is wrong.
So how long have you been with the organization?
About 11 or 12 years.
Wow.
So I started out working in their activities department, which provides free tickets to clients to things like baseball games, the opera, the symphony, musical plays, things like that.
Oh, good.
And then I switched over and I took the SHANTI Peer Support Volunteer Training, which is really the core of what SHANTI is. And I was matched with a client in 1998 and stayed with him for about a year and a half.
So let's reverse a little bit and tell me about what the peer support program is.
Sure. It matches peer support volunteers who go through a rigorous weekend-long training with an individual client. And they kind of, the matching process is pretty complicated. We look at a variety of aspects of each person and see that we make a nice match. And then they meet on a weekly basis, and you kind of like become a buddy to your client. You might help them with chores around the house. You might go shopping or to a movie, or just sit and watch TV and talk. But primarily you're there to be of emotional support. So you listen to them talk about their problems in a non-judgmental, open, and supportive way. And that's what we teach in our trainings.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about what happens at the weekend training, and where do you go, and how many people are there, and what happens, and what do you do? Just pretend we're at the training right now. No.
It's a secret, but I'll tell you.
Okay.
It starts on Friday evening, goes through Sunday afternoon. It's a long training, and we go through a series of exercises, and there's some presentations, and there's some guest speakers. So we bring in clients, and we bring in current volunteers to speak to the trainees. We train between 20 and 30 people 4 times a year.
Oh, it's only 4 times a year?
Yes, okay. And the next training is going to be the last weekend in May, the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Okay.
So we have some time to whip up some new volunteers.
Oh, good. And so what made you interested in the organization to begin?
Well, I was curious because I had heard about SHANTI volunteers and what they did, and I just thought... their organization was near my house, and I had time, and I thought, I'm just going to go see what's going on. Well, once I got there and I got a taste of what their corporate culture is like, it reflects what the volunteers give to clients. You are treated with respect and love, and in a non-judgmental, accepting way that it just drew me in, and I wanted to do more and more for the organization.
Oh, good. So is that why? So you're a board member, and are you still a volunteer? Do you still do that?
I don't volunteer. I'm not matched with the client, but I do other things for the organization. And besides being on the board, I also like to facilitate the trainings. So I lend a hand there, and it's great because I get to watch the people who want to volunteer transform and change and grow over the course of the weekend, and it's really electrifying and just compels me to do more.
Oh, good. So who are the volunteers? How do they become a volunteer? Do they just walk in and...
Well, you can give us a call and ask for Mindy Schweitzer Rawls, who is the volunteer coordinator.
And the phone number is on the screen, 415-674-4700.
That's right.
Or can they go to the website also to find out about
Definitely. It's shanti.org.
And so do you have a lot of... Is there a range of volunteers that are just interested, or is it mostly old women or 20-year-olds?
Actually, we probably skew younger, but certainly plenty of folks in their 30s, 40s, and 50s are volunteering. But that idealism of youth, we seem to capture that especially well.
Oh, good.
But we are looking for older volunteers because we have older clients, and sometimes clients request that somebody closer to their age be matched with them. And we have clients that range from 20 to 70.
So how do you I guess you wouldn't acquire a client, or how does that whole thing work about how do you get clients? Do they come to you? Do you seek them out? Do you work with other organizations?
Yes and yes.
I'm psychic.
We get referrals from other organizations, certainly. Doctors refer people to us. Friends refer people to us. And then we do have our own, well, for lack of a better word, advertising. But, we have put our name out there and what we do. And we have a lot of allies in the community that know about us.
And are there any sort of requirements if you want to either become a client or a volunteer?
Well, to be a client, you need to, of course, have breast cancer or HIV/AIDS. There is no other requirement. And then to become a volunteer, the qualities that we look for in a person are willingness, open-minded, charitable, progressive-minded people who can, walk into a situation that's emotionally charged and perform.
And do they have to be a volunteer for a specific amount of time, or at least maybe a year, or stay with a client, or how does that work?
I believe we ask for a year.
I'm going to check on that.
Please do. I believe it's a year, and that's so that there's some consistency and permanence to the relationship for the client. That they're not getting a new volunteer every 3 months.
And so what are some of the benefits for the clients for having someone come and hang out with them or interact with them once a week?
Well, I'll tell you, in many cases our clients are isolated. Perhaps they are estranged from their families. They might live alone. And that can be a very frightening, lonely place to be. And so our volunteers may well represent the only person that they get to talk to that day, or the only person that comes visit, the only diversion from a rather bleak life. And so if you can put yourself in that situation, you can imagine what, a shining, smiling face coming through the door, willing to do something for you, what that might feel like. So I think our clients, gain companionship. They get compassion, they get care, they get love, they get attention.
And who doesn't want that?
And who doesn't, yeah.
And so you said you've been a volunteer and a client. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. I was a volunteer. Like I said, I had been matched with a client. And then around the year 2000, my health started to shift. And I was having some challenges, and I am HIV positive. So I decided that I couldn't give the energy to a client any longer, and that perhaps I could use a volunteer. And so I've had 2 young women as volunteers over the last 8 or 9 years, and they have been fabulous. They've been like little sisters to me, basically, and I've grown to love them over time.
Oh, good. And so as a